Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 11. As promised, restorative yoga coming up for us today. Got Emma, the pug, as my teacher's aide today. And today I wanted to show you how you can use a extra yoga mat in place of a bolster. So it's just going to give us that little bit of lift underneath our spine. I'm going to come into some different poses for this restorative session and some similar ones. So the purpose of restorative yoga is to really reset the body, the mind, and the spirit, which is so important for us to do occasionally. I also have a blanket. You can use this blanket as a pillow when we're on our back. You can use it to support your low back when we come to a flat spine. Use it however you want. I also have two blocks today that I'm going to use to support my knees. So first posture of a restorative class today, we're going to start on our backs. And I'm actually going to put this blanket under my low back. So I'm putting it about midway down the yoga mat. And I'm just going to lay over it. Just going to give my hips a slight kind of elevation. So come on down. Oh, it's beautiful out here today. Bring your knees to a bent position. And then you might find drifting the knees inwards so that they touch like a little tripod feels nice. And then straighten your arms out to the side. Pick them up off the ground and then softly lay them on the ground and nestle your shoulder blades underneath your body. And of course, close your eyes. Take a few breaths here, just kind of coming into your practice. A lot of times you might hear a yoga teacher say, begin to arrive. And that simply means closing the door to the responsibilities and what comes next, and just creating this beautiful space. I heard one time, a long time ago, that as you lay on your yoga mat, you are creating a sacred space for yourself. And if anything that comes into the space does not serve your greatest good, then you just gently blow it away like an exhale. So as you have a thought come in of maybe a distraction or a worry that's in your life, just don't allow it in the space. I like to think about clouds just floating by as thoughts. And one might want to stay and create a little storm in my mind. So I take a breath. Push that little cloud out of my sacred space. Take a breath. Take a breath. Blow it out. Sometimes we might have some annoyances in our life. Emma's decided to bark right now. It's just an annoyance. I can allow that annoyance to cause a reaction in me where I want to holler at her. Or I can just allow it to be, knowing that it will pass and is temporary. She'll make her way back. She'll be quiet. It's temporary. When we can learn to sit with the annoyances of life and not react, that's when we are really finding inner peace. And so we get to practice that on the yoga mat more than ever. All right. Open up your knees. Grab your yoga blocks. Bring the soles of your feet together and prop your yoga blocks underneath your knees. Mine are going to be the most vertical way that the blocks can be. You can use large books, you can use household objects, anything to just prop up. The idea of restorative is that there's no muscles doing the work. We're simply putting our bodies into a shape that allows for complete relaxation. If you are practicing on a bed, you can take a couple of those pretty little decorative throw pillows that we so often have on our bed and prop those underneath your knees. And then bring your hands to your hip crease where your thigh comes into your pelvis. And then take your hands and gently push down away from you so that you're creating some space in that area of our body where most of us have some tightness in that hip and groin area. So find that spot where the legs attach to the pelvis and then push those femur bones away. Relax the hands one more. Take a breath. Push the femurs away. Yeah. Now release your hands and sweep them above your head softly. If this is uncomfortable for you, then bring your arms down to a T or down by your side. I've actually sort of made a circle with my arms, just clasping fingers, just making a little hook here. Elbows are bent and my heart is rising. Bring your attention to your jaw. Sometimes we clench those rows of teeth together. If you can create space, but keep the lips sealed shut. Just got the rows of teeth not touching, not clenching. Imagine the forehead smoothing out, the eyes become heavy. After a couple breaths, you might find that lowering the pillows or blocks a little bit is available as the body relaxes. The muscles soften. We can go a little deeper. Couple more breaths. It's nice on these Sunday restorative sessions to consider putting on a playlist, soft music that you enjoy, lighting a candle, maybe burning incense or diffusing oils. Forgot to bring out my essential oil blend. You might hear the sound of the siren in the distance. Just another annoyance, right? We can become frustrated, react to it, take our mind there and forget where we are, which is here. And so find that breath. Blow out from your sacred space the annoyance. Find that inner peace inside with a beautiful pool of water that's crystal clear. Start to move your arms softly, bring them back to the body. We're going to bring our knees to the sky, move the blocks just slightly. We're going to come to a reclined figure four, but without a lot of pulls. So just take your right leg and cross it over your left. We've made this little triangular window. But before we do anything, just rock side to side. Just feel a little bit of release in the low back. Doesn't have to be big. And then take your right hand and press it against the inner thigh or inner knee of the right side. You'll feel an opening. And then release the hands and just drop the knees over to the left, just about 4 inches, not much. Just feel that. You should feel a change in your right glute. It's not far. On a more active practice, we would bring the knees and the legs towards the chest. If you want to do that, you're more than welcome to. Come back to a straight neutral and just hang out here. This gives an opening to the pelvis, to the hip. If you want to grab your left leg and bring both legs in, it's a little bit more active, reclined pigeon or figure four. But if you're just looking for that soft hanging out, just allowing gravity, allowing stillness, just hang with it. Two more breaths here. Take your right leg and cross it over your left like you have a really short skirt on. Okay, so it's got a tight squeeze now. We're not going to squeeze. And we're going to drift the legs to the left. If you can go all the way, fantastic. If not, you have that block right there. Prop the legs up on the block, tee out your arms, and just allow the twist to soften. Okay, allow the twist. And come back up to center, uncross the legs. Take the left over the right. Find the figure 4. Take your left hand to the inner thigh, inner knee of the left, and just gently open it, just ever so slightly. Remove the hands and drop over to the right, just about 4 inches. You'll feel a big stretch under the left glute. Okay. If anything comes into your sacred space that doesn't belong, that doesn't serve your greatest good, take a breath. Again, you have that option to grab your right leg, pull everything in if you want a little deeper, more active stretch. But just remember there's plenty of moments in our life where we are active and pushing to reset, to bring balance to the body. We must be able to find some stillness. That's not laying around watching television or scrolling on our phones. It's just a complete tuning in. We have to tune out, like we have to get rid of the out to tune in. You're going to cross your legs if you're able to, like you have a tight skirt on, so the legs cross greatly. And then you'll drop both legs to the right and find the block. Okay, you will. I'm not. Just find the block. You can uncross the legs if it's too much, and then allow the knees to find a landing spot. Turn the head to the left. Come back up. Straighten your legs. Find some length here. Just get a nice overhead with the arms if you can. Big stretch here. And then we're going to bend the knees and gently roll on over, making our way to child's pose. I love this dog so much. She's such a great little friend. All right. I'm going to put the blanket down so my knees have a little soft padding. And then we're going to play with a block or a yoga mat rolled up or a bolster or a pillow. Just see. So a lot of times in restorative yoga, we get into the shape and then we try to support the shape with some props or things, tools. So I'm going to try putting the yoga mat that's extra on my ankles so that when I sit back, I don't have to stretch quite as far back to get into child's pose. And then rather than going all the way down for me, because this is painful, I'm going to prop my arms up onto the yoga blocks. And here I am in a modified child's pose. So find child's pose, whether the knees are together or the knees are apart, heels and glutes come close, or use a support to make them get close. Melt your heart towards the ground. Tuck your chin if it's not touching the mat. Forehead on the mat is ideal. If it's not there, just let your chin drop and hang. And just breathe. Opening up the shoulder blades. Finding that sacred space again. A lawnmower just began next door. That's okay. That's one of those annoyances that we have in life. Kind of like a thought or an opinion of somebody or a worry or a regret. Take a breath and get rid of it in your sacred space. 2 more breaths here. Start to transition from child's pose. I'm going to set my blocks aside, and I'm going to turn my blanket into more of a log shape. So I just folded it one more, and I'm going to lay it vertical on my mats. We're going to come to our bellies. Okay, so I'm elevating the front of my body, stacking the hands one on top of the other, and turning my head so that my right cheek is on my hands. Now, the legs are going to separate a little bit and then just rock slightly side to side and release the hips, release the low back. Feel completely supported by either the bed or the ground in which your body is laying, and steady the body, become still. By supporting the front of our body, this eliminates, for the most part, any low back pain that we have when we lay on our stomach. So we just bring the belly up just a little bit, and it kind of helps with any back pain. Getting a nice rotation of the cervical spine with the head turned this direction. We will be coming to the other direction, so just give yourself a few more breaths here. Gently pick up your head, slide the left cheek to the hands, and turn your head the other direction. Thoughts come in, they don't serve your greatest good. Take a breath. One more breath. We're going to transition our way up to a seated position just for one pose. Come up through tabletop. And then I suggest sitting on the blanket or a pillow to elevate your hips. This makes coming into the next one a little bit easier, a little bit softer. Then you'll grab your pillows or your blocks, place them above the knee. So we're not drilling onto the knee. And then elbows come to the blocks, palms touch. Your thumbs are going to go right into the space between your eyebrows. Press there. It's our 6th energy center. Close your eye. So as we were laying on the stomach, our head turned with the left cheekbone down, my mind wandered and I found myself getting on a train of the future. And in that moment, I caught myself realizing that does not support my greatest good. And so I took that breath. And that is something that you can do anytime, anywhere, to find yourself going about your day. And you realize that you're not fully present in a conversation. You're not fully present in a task. You're not fully present with yourself. That exhale of blowing out does not serve your greatest good. Something that we can do anywhere, anytime. Nobody knows but you and me. Actually has a powerful role in the nervous system. Almost like hitting the pause button so that we don't get on the train. We don't travel to the unknown circumstances that we make up in our mind. By pressing your fingers into your 3rd eye energy center, you're quieting down some of those thoughts, tapping into intuition, true knowing, what we know, what we see without our eyes, but what we know is absolute truth. With the hips elevated, we get a nice stretch, but we don't have that pressure in the back. 2 more breaths, and then we're going to change this just a little bit. Release the fingers, thumbs from the third eye. We're going to take the blocks and just turn them to the next level. Arms are going to straighten a little bit. Sternum's going to pull in. Shin's going to go to the chest, and we're just going to round here, letting the hands softly drape over the blocks, feeling a nice stretch through the back of the body, and letting the weight of our head act as a little tether, elongating the cervical spine, the thoracic spine, very hard to stretch. Breathe in, blow it out, and to rise. I'm going to come to one of the ways that I like to finish a restorative session before I come into Shavasana is supported fish. So if you have a blanket, you can roll it into a log. If you have a bolster, you can use that. So I've created this log shape of my blanket. But if you don't have a blanket, you have an extra yoga mat laying around, perfect tool. Okay, so I brought this out instead of a bolster so that you can see there's many ways that which we can elevate the heart. So I'm going to push the block or the mat or the bolster or the blanket way far down, touching my low back, my cheeks. And then I'm just simply going to lay my spine over the log, the bolster, the blanket, or the rolled up mat. And then with intention, I'm going to kind of wiggle my body so that my shoulder blades, those pointy little bones, sort of wrap around. Oh, there it is. Wrap around that log. Knees are bent. That feels nice for me. You might find having straight legs feels great. Arms come out to a diagonal. And then just take your hands onto your sternum and just pull apart, just pull apart. Feel the skin of your chest, just pull it apart slightly, then tee out your arms again or diagonal your arms, soft curl of the fingertips. Heart is elevated. Eyes are closed. Opening through our heart is so beautiful. You might visualize the color green just emanating from the center of your chest, filling up your sacred space with love. In and out breathing, soft and sweet. Tapping once again into that inner pool of peacefulness. It exists in all of us. Those little annoyances come in and out. Just exhale. What a great practice for Tomorrow, when we return maybe to our job or to a busy life task, we have those annoyances that come. We have that beautiful gift of the breath to always avail. One more breath. Just going to roll slightly off of the log. Gently remove it and find one of your yoga blocks. Walk the feet in a little bit closer to the cheeks. Lift your hips. Rest your sacrum on the block. One of my favorite shapes. A supported bridge. There's no muscle work. We get the benefit of the inversion without any work. You're super welcome to stay in supported bridge, or you can join me in lifting your legs up to the sky using the wedge of the block to provide stability in what is often referred to as a modified shoulder stand. You might even let the feet drift towards the head a little bit, coming into an almost plow shape. So beautiful. Letting the body drain the tired legs, the tired feet. We'll reset. Hands can be on your belly, your thighs, the block, the pillow. If it doesn't feel comfortable to have your feet in the air, you can bend your knees too and see what that feels like. As you bend the knees, you might find that the thighs coming towards the belly feels nice. Totally make it your own. Find comfort. As we move through these restorative sessions each Sunday of the month, if you find that one particular shape that we've created feels extra good, you can always stay longer. You can come back to it. You can do that one pose before bed tonight. You can return to it every day. This is just sort of a window that I'm opening for you to then apply to your own personal life, however that feels best for you. One more. Start to bend your knees. If they're in the air, bring the feet back to the mat. Shimmy the hips up just enough to move that block away and then lay flat. Okay, so we've had the fish pose with support and the bridge pose with support. And now we have this connection back to the flatness of the ground or the bed. Flat spine, hands rest on your low belly, your pelvis. Finding that space between pubic bone and belly button, that soft, fleshy area. And this area of our body has everything to do with our ability to just roll with life. Like a river. I had an opportunity today to walk next to a creek, and I was watching as the water had all of these obstacles in it. There were a couple logs sticking out of the mud and a big boulder and all of this grass along the edges and some branches and even some trash. And yet I watched as the water continued to move over the boulders, around the trash, through the grass on the edges, but there was not anywhere in my vision that the water got stuck. And yet all of these obstacles, the water was able to just move through it, around it, over it, and continue to flow. The water went all the way down to its destination. And it reminded me that we too have so many obstacles in our life. And when we can use some of these tools that we learn on the yoga mat to move around them, through them, over them, As simple as exhaling, bringing our awareness back to the present moment, back to our sacred space, back to that inner dwelling of peace, that pool of water that exists in each of us where it's pure. In your mind, bring your attention to a river or a stream or a creek, and just watch the water, watch how it moves, watch how it flows around those obstacles. Might get hung up on the trash just for a moment, but eventually it moves through. And as always, my sweet yoga friends, you can stay as long as you would like. Take your time coming out. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and always return to these practices. If you feel that you need a reset midweek, it's here, it's yours. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow.